Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willis, your host. I am also looking for the YouTube stream as one of the reasons I'm kind of a couple minutes late into just playing that music over and over is I had to get over to the other stream to see what's going on, and they're trying to connect. I don't know if it's up yet, but it may come up in a little bit, but they have been having some issues at the restream area. It turns out that they said they couldn't stream to Facebook. That seemed to have started to work. And now it seems like the YouTube channel is finally out and up. So those of you that are checking on YouTube, YouTube is now up as I am looking at it right now. So I think you're in good shape with YouTube, my brothers and my sisters. Yes, we are up. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened over there. But again, it's our restreamer that had some issues at first. They couldn't connect to Facebook. But anyhow, we are here now. Anyhow, we got a great program for you today, folks. I had a great interview with a political analyst out there in Washington, D.C. But before we get there, the president's been impeached. All's good. We hope, well, let's say, we hope all is good. But where I want to start is, let's go ahead and get the program started. I'm a little bit razzled that we had all these issues that we could get all these connections together and all of that. But we are going to get busy right now. Title of the show today is Political Analyst Atiba Madyun discusses insurrection. Thomas Friedman's recipe for Democrats, wrong. You want to hear political analyst Atiba Madyun on the seditious insurrection on the Capitol, folks. And Thomas Friedman, I need to play you something about what he had to say. Now, we see constantly, we talk about people voting against their own interests all of the times. And we sit back and we call them all kinds of names, or many people call them all kinds of names, etc., etc., etc. I am a bit more gracious. I think I'm a bit more humble than that. I'm a bit more to say that a lot of times we are not doing our jobs. A lot of times it's a lot of the people that we look up to, in my humble opinion, are doing it all wrong. So I want to let you hear what Friedman has to say, and then I'm going to go to some of the messages on the that before I get to the interview. So I'm going to get to you, Radnin, and everybody else. I'm going to get to you, but I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to what Friedman thinks is the problem with Democrats. I didn't get the part where he identified what the problems were with the Republicans. He already said that Republican Party is going to split into two. There is going to be a faction that's going to be irrelevant, a wacky faction, and then those that really want to govern. And he wants those that want to govern to hook up with the sensible Democrats to govern as well. I want you to listen to this because he makes some good points, but mostly bad points. If you want to know why Democrats lose, listen to the kind of magic, listen to the kind of suggestions, advice we get from some of our elitist journalists. Check this out, then we'll take it on the other side. I want you to listen in detail, and then we'll definitely take it on the other side.
Your advice for the Democrats who are, let's face it, not without problems, weaknesses, and bad instincts at times.
Yeah, look, as I said in that piece, some things are true even if Donald Trump believes them. And he didn't win 71 million votes just because they're all QAnon supporters. He touched people. He found a gut connection. And there are things Democrats can do. I think that will make it easier for principled Republicans, however few they are, to really collaborate in the best sense of that word with Biden. Stop talking about defunding the police, okay? It's not only a bad idea, it's just a terrible message. Talk about better policing, all right? Stop talking about democratic socialism. Talk about inclusive, just capitalism. Talk about not just redividing the pie, but talk about growing the pie. And let's, we have to dial down the cancel culture, political correctness in newsrooms and college campuses, it's out of control, and Trump fed off that. It doesn't remotely compare to the cancel culture we saw last week with an entire party trying to cancel an election, but it is destructive, I believe, for broadening the Democratic base and popularity in the country. So the things Democrats can do too that I think are good policy and good politics.
Okay, since there's only one thing that I agree with Brother Friedman with, I'm going to tackle that one first. I don't like the cancel culture either. And progressives, we do have a tendency to have a cancel culture. In other words, we have a platform of one A, B, C, D, E, F. And if everybody doesn't support A, B, C, D, E, F, we completely blow them out of the water. If somebody wants to come on college campus and talk about something we disagree with, we throw them under the bus. To hell with you, we don't want to listen to you, etc. I do not believe in the cancel culture. As you guys see with what I do here, I want to hear everybody. I want to hear every point of view. I want to be able to digest every point of view. So therefore, I want to hear everybody. And why do I want to hear everybody? Because many a times I get good advice even from bad information. Sometimes people tell me stuff that makes no sense. But in telling me stuff that makes no sense, I can actually make myself a better communicator based on what they're telling me. So it is important, first of all, that we listen to Friedman on cancel culture. We need to be open. We need to listen to everybody. We need to give everybody a hearing. We don't have to believe everything they're saying. We don't have to follow everything that they're saying. We have to let folks understand that we are willing to listen, and we could be wrong. There's issues that I've been wrong on as a progressive that I'm ready to turn on. There was a time I was much more liberal in the way we actually give out stipends, etc. And I realize that there is some things that you have to change. So no, Friedman is correct about the cancel culture. We need to get rid of the cancel culture. We have to allow people the opportunity to make a mistake. We have to allow people the opportunity to say, I tell people all the time, sometimes people tell me something and they hold back because they're scared that they'll say it the wrong way and I would take it racially, I'll take it ethnically or whatever, so they back off. I don't want you to back off when you're talking to me. I want you to run the risk of insulting me. I want you to run the risk of telling me something that is going to offend me, knowing that offending me is not going to cancel you to me. Right? You have to be able to allow our humanity to emanate. Because I know there are things that I've told gay people, even in my transition of no longer being a gay person, but because of muscle memory in certain things that I haven't yet, that is simply correct. I'm stupid about that I've said the wrong thing. I know with women in saying certain things that I never thought, in as much as I'm no longer a sexist or anything like that, I know a word may come out that it's done wrong. I don't want you to cancel me for that. I want you to tell me, Egberto, hey, you know why that's wrong, man? You don't want to do that, dude. And then I'll say, okay. So that is one thing progressives, I think, need to get better at, the cancel culture. But let's get to the meat of what this man had to say. Defund the police. Defunding the police. We don't make an issue when we say defund the government. You hear right-wingers all of the times talk about defunding the government, starve the government, all these things they use, right? Nobody looks at that as being, that is going to cause you to lose an election. But if we say defund the police, meaning stop the police from killing folks, so therefore take money from the police and put it into psychological programs, put it into programs that keep kids out of trouble. Instead of buying armor for police officers, go ahead and buy a basketball court in a neighborhood. If people are playing basketball in a neighborhood, if people are doing good things in a neighborhood, they're not committing crimes, right? So instead of, when we say defund the police, you know what we mean. When the right talks about defunding the government or starving the government, nobody thinks it's going to cost them votes. But what it's causing when you say starve the government, it means the welfare check that a starving person is going to get, the government is starved, you can't get it. It means that the child care that somebody is going to get is no longer there. When we say starve the government, it has a material effect on people. And yet we accept that, and we don't, and Brother Friedman, Thomas Friedman, doesn't look at that as saying, oh, Republicans shouldn't say starve the government because it will cost them the election because those people aren't going to vote. You know what Republicans do? They make sure to explain in a lying fashion that starving the government and giving tax cuts magically is going to create jobs. So their people get a lie to justify what they're saying. We should just tell the truth. Defunding the police means taking money away from the police and putting it into healthcare. Take a healthcare for the community so that there's less crime. Defunding the police means creating social programs with that money that they always get their money. Some of that money, put it into programs that will reduce crimes, and therefore police no longer necessary except for crimes, real crimes. That is what defund the police means. Then he talks about, don't talk about democratic socialism. Talk about capitalism. Okay. You know what I think about capitalism. Capitalism is antiseptic slavery. Why not say educate Americans as far as why we have income inequality, wealth disparity? That is what capitalism creates. Teach Americans the truth. That's all you have to do. Tell them the truth. Democratic socialism is free enterprise with social programs. That's democratic socialism. Free Social Security, Medicare for all, those are the social programs within a free enterprise system, a democratic system where all of us democratically decide what we are going to keep into the public domain and what we are going to keep into the private domain. Instead of thinking that our people are stupid, why not tell them how things are? Democratic socialism mean you can have your health care. COVID would not have been a problem. Democratic socialism also means the following. It means, guess what? If we ask you to close your store for a pandemic, that we are going to look at your books and keep you whole so that after the pandemic is over, we don't have to say you're bankrupted because that was something unforeseen. So the government comes to your rescue because we are asking you to put yourself at financial strife for the better good of society. And therefore, society keeps you whole. There is no small restaurant. There's no small business that should have been worried about closing during a pandemic because the government would make them whole. And when the pandemic is over, we all come back and nobody loses everything. What capitalism says is, I have no soul. Therefore, if a pandemic comes and the government forces you to close, shame on you. God, sorry, you're done. And the big businesses continue to make profits because they now take the business that used to go to small companies. I am not the capitalist saying that. All our capitalists said it. Fertitta here in Houston says, you know why this pandemic is great? Because all those distressed properties, read those guys who had to go out of business because of the pandemic, all their properties are cheap now, and those of us with capital can buy them all up. I didn't say it, a capitalist said it. That is what capitalism is. It is raw, it is antiseptic slavery, and and it's just like the foundation of our country. We wanted to make sure that the few who had capital maintained their capital at all costs. We go to war to maintain capital at all costs. We go to war to make sure that the few who are entitled remain entitled. And we fool the rest of the population to believe that these guys are there for you. So when Thomas Friedman talks about teach capitalism, don't say anything, just talk capitalism. He's saying, let's continue to lie to America. Let's tell them that they're in some economic system that is good for them. Again, democratic socialism would have said, those private companies that don't have customers, because we are asking everybody to stay home, will be placed on ice. We will continue to make sure their bills are paid. And when the pandemic is over and we say everybody can go back to work, everything is like starts at that point. There's no position there for capitalism. Remember that. Now then he talks about teach people that not to talk about democratic socialism, because as long as the pie is growing, as long as that pie is growing, it's good for everybody. That is false. If a part of the pie is growing at 7%, which is where the rich people's part of the pie grows, and the average man's pie grow at 2% or does not grow at all, it means that that person whose pie is growing at 7% is taking money and capital from who? You. And that is the definition of income inequality, and you getting poorer. And they're taking more of your money. This isn't radical. This is math. And you know, a lot of people, those leftist radicals. Sir, people, these are not radical ideas. This is just the truth. What's radical is what they're doing to you. What's radical is it's the only person, the people that win are people with capital. That is what's radical. And the people with capital only got the capital with your work, with your worth, with your intellect, with what you produce. They produce nothing. You do everything. And you know who makes the capital? They do. And we are radical. We are radical for saying we want a piece of what we worked for. You see how magical thinking? I just saw somebody said, I think it was Norman Reynolds who talked about magical thinking. And that's what magical thinking about. When they said, let's just grow the pie, you know they're trying to take your money. Anytime they say, let's just grow the pie for everybody, and even if that other person's pie grows faster, you're still doing fine. Don't believe that crap. It is just that crap. Please, when they try to tell you you're radical, look out, because what that means is they are radical. Before I get to this point, Michael Ryan says, Fight for 15 is hosting a nationwide rallies for a fast food worker strike tomorrow. And he put the link out there in the chat. Please go ahead and check out what Michael Rudden has to talk about that. Meantime, he has a petition in the link that he says is worth signing. Is it Thursday here? Yes, brother, it's Thursday. YouTube not linked. I got it linked, folks. So let's see. Ayanna Presley, Hope Beaker says, Ayanna Presley, Chief of Staff Sarah Onak said in a recent interview that the panic buttons, yes, I saw that. They all were missing. These people were going into that place to assassinate those Congress people. They had the panic buttons jammed out, removed. It's amazing. Nobody knows when it happened. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Paul Fleming says, when I worked in the fast food business, I would get some of my bonus to my full-time employees who were struggling. Fast food is biased on part-time work, based on part-time workers. You're so right, sir. Let's see what else here. Egberto, if you can please read out the two. I just did, so I got your point, my brother Rudnin. Thank you for bringing that information to us. Welcome aboard. Let me welcome I'll welcome you guys at the end because I'll have more people then. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I need to say real quick. Democratic socialism has some bad messaging, largely in the mainstream media. Yes, but it's all from the Powell Manifesto. They had to do that because it is so logical. It is so not radical that they had to create a fallacy of radicalism so that they would brainwash people into believing that things that are good for them somehow is radical. Do not fall for the lie. Do not fall for the lie. There is what Norman said. Friedman, magical thinking with a hint of racism and intellectual superiority. There is no cancel culture, Egberta. The purity test is common in all politics. Norman, here's what I'm going to tell you, Norman. I went ahead and did something that I probably shouldn't have, but I think I needed to. I used their terminology to talk against their terminology. Cancel culture is what they said, not allowing other points of view. And that is what was happening at Berkeley and a lot of these places. When those right-wingers attempted to go and talk, they had riots and all of that. I don't believe that. I want those right-wingers talking because I think the best antidote for a right winger is for them to talk. It's for them to talk and then for others to do the explaining. Because I think they do a very good job of showing that they're mathematically impossible to exist in what they claim to support. So I think that is what's so important about making everybody talk. It isn't capitalism when you say save the car, bank, and the airline. It's so you're absolutely right, sir. Capitalism means my money is tied up. Learjet, I love that one, Julie Henderson. That was a good one. Okay, let's see what else. Vrees MCP says Trump's speech is probably defensible in every court except perhaps the U.S. Senate. A look at the very I understand where they're coming from, and I think that statement was actually correct because he made it so obtuse. I mean, the guy was obtuse. Robert Lewis, the pie will never split equally. That is a problem with capitalism. Amen. Daniel Ledo, Egberto seems more than willing to accept any wild conspiracy theory regarding the rat on Capitol Hill, sir, and yet at the same time completely immune to applying the same to the election. No, I'm not actually. The things that I'm talking are factual, sir. I think you already know that. I don't think I need to say that twice. Anyhow, folks, before we move on, I want to ask you, those of you that are on YouTube, please consider becoming part of our posse. Go to click on that join button and join our YouTube posse. Not my name. It was placed by Breeze MCP, one of our great supporters. Breeze MCP named it the PDR posse. So if you are on YouTube, please click on that join button to become a member. If you're not on YouTube, just go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, and that will give you a video to say, hey, come on, guys, please become a supporter of Politics Done Right. Alternatively, you can support us by becoming what we call a patron. There are different options of becoming patrons. Go to politicsdoneright.com/patron. Patron is spelled Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/patreon, or as usual, we all accept PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Now, we also have a book. That book that you see on screen, it's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Please go ahead and consider getting my book. It's a good book. It talks about how to talk to other people who may not want to hear what you have to say, but if you follow some of our techniques, I'm pretty sure you'd like it. And Tank, take that message away. You don't want to burn my book. You want to read my book, Tank. In fact, if you read my book, Brother Tank, I think you would make a change. Now, the link I gave you is from Amazon, where you can get all of my books, including As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, and It's Worth It. And of course, you know, I had weight problems at a time, and I created a little weight loss book as well. I'm working on the book that I promised you guys last year, but I'm going to get it out this year. I'm working on that right now as we speak. Anyhow, folks, so please consider becoming a part of our posse by just click on that join button. Or if you want, you can click on that $ thing down there. It says, hey, I want to support you guys. I want to support you with a super chat, and I'll be most happy with that as well. If you want to get around and by the way, you can buy you can get our hoodies and all that good stuff there, as well as t-shirts. And if you want, you can go to our store and get everything at our store to cut out the middle person. So thank you so kindly. Okay, folks, it's time for us to get to our interview. I think you're going to like this one. Atiba Madyun. Let's go ahead and go there, and then we'll take it on the other side. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. We are here with Atiba Madyun. He is going to discuss quite a bit. We're going to talk about that thing that happened on Wednesday, and then he has some other stuff to tell you. Welcome aboard, Atiba. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I am doing fine. I think, however, I need to tell people who you are. So Atiba Madyun is a political analyst, author, and former deputy executive director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. Madyun is one of the Democratic strategists who helped Senator-elect Reverend Raphael Warnock of Georgia. He's a Washington insider and president of Party Politics US. He has been featured and seen in The Hill, Financial Times, and Boston Globe. My friend, I am honored to have you on the show. I know you have a whole lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and start about that ruckus that we had on Wednesday. And I don't call it a ruckus. I call it exactly what it is. The attempt, I'm from Central America. That is what we see in what most Americans call banana republics. That's what we see down there. It had the exact view, no difference. Your thoughts on that?
Listen, when I was a kid, first off, thank you for having me. And I just want to say, when I was a child, I had opportunity to live overseas. My father's job took us to live in Bamako, Mali for 2 years. And I'll never forget, we left in May of 1983. And in June 1983, there was a coup, or an attempted coup. And I cannot help but think that what we just saw happen last Wednesday was an attempted coup. You mentioned about Banana Republic. We saw an insurrection. We saw a bunch of people get together who normally we might see something happen in another country and we're like, who are those crazies? Well, the crazies were right here. And, this whole idea of patriotism, that is traitors. These were traitors that we saw, traitors who are upset because of the outcome of an election. But I think that we also have to get to the crux, and we aren't talking enough about what was it, because we keep wanting to say that Trump was the beginning of this. I think we really have to look deeper in terms of further past racism. Is it racism? Yes. Is there sexism? Yes. Is there elitism? Yes. We got to get deeper to this, because I think that the corrupt things that we keep seeing, their root of it is always money and not being able to access money or opportunity. And we've got to talk about this, I think, in a large.
Now, Atiba, before we even get there, I want to make our audience aware of something, because a lot of folks see some of the stuff, the initial thing that they see on TV, and they just see a whole rowdy bunch of people attacking, breaking a few glasses, etc., at the Capitol. But I want the people to understand that we had people's lives really at risk. We had pipe bombs, we had Molotov cocktails, we had all these things we had people that had ties to kidnap. We had all these things that would be present in a coup, and it just happened to be that it was poorly prepared. They were poorly prepared, they got overwhelmed, and they didn't get their job done. But I think it is important for people to understand that the coup attempt was real. Now, you pointed out earlier.
Can I add one other thing?
Go ahead.
They also had a biological weapon available.
Oh, that's new to me. Please enlighten me.
COVID.
Oh, my friend, that is so true. Explain that for those who are going to be hard to take that. Let them hear.
They're saying that there were 8,000 people. We know that this virus that has plagued us it's rampant throughout our society. We've got almost 400,000 people dead. My uncle has been in the hospital with COVID, 93 years old. His daughter is now in the hospital because she went to go care for her father, because a caregiver came to their home with a cold, thinking they just had a cold, and it turned out to be COVID. So now imagine 8,000 people descending on the Capitol, many of them not wearing masks, though we know that there's a mask mandate in DC. Many of them not social distancing, because they were all clamored all together. And then we see now that there are several congressional members, including a 75-year-old congressional woman who is a breast cancer survivor. So these people came into the Capitol, they possibly spread a virus amongst themselves, let alone also to congressional members. And now it's also getting to us that these congressional members that were in a room, close quarters, who declined to wear a mask because they're like, listen, I get political about this, actually did not want to wear masks, potentially because should these insurrectionists, these people attempting a coup, had come into the room, they would have known that, oh, they're with us because they're not wearing a mask.
It is crazy. I blogged about that one. Yeah, you're talking about Bonnie Watson Coleman. She's the one who got infected. And then there's Jayapal, Pramila Jayapal from Washington, she got infected. She's same room, and a couple of other Congress people got infected because of all these folks not wearing masks. And so that is interesting. I want to remind folks, people think that we are so exceptional, right? These things don't happen here. They need to remember that back in 1933, they also tried a coup against Franklin Roosevelt. So, I mean, it is one thing to kind of think these things don't happen here. But as you mentioned earlier in your statement, Atiba, you mentioned that a lot of this has to do with money. A lot of this happened to do with certain folks with money making investment to ensure that what they are doing remains preeminent. So I think that is important for people to understand. I blogged about that this morning. Folks can look it up at egbertowillies.com. Anyhow, what do you think is going to be the aftermath of this insurrection?
For 4 years, every day I pick up the phone, wary to figure out, okay, what has the idiot done? And so whenever I do these interviews, people keep asking me, what do I think is going to happen? The problem has been, it's been difficult to chart what is going to happen next. What we do know, and your listeners already know, there are credible threats on our state capitals. What a lot of people don't know is that there were attacks on those very state capitals on January 6th too. Everyone's attention was focused on the U.S. Capitol, but there were attacks on Michigan. Michigan was Georgia, Utah, and other state legislatures around the country. This thing is real, but yet at the same time, the democracy is still intact, and it will still remain intact. What we were looking to see is what's going to happen on January 20th, because we have a transfer of power. We don't know what Trump is going to do within the next 6 days. But what we can do is we can remain vigilant. We can make sure, you see those signs at the airport or when you're traveling that says, if you see something, say something. There have been a lot of people that have been turning in people who they recognize faces, including people saying that was their, uncle, etc. So there's a lot of, there are a lot of things that we don't know, but there are a lot of things that I think that we have to keep focused on. And I'll say this last. Congressman John Lewis, and we had his former chief of staff on our podcast last night, Chalkboard Conversations. But he wrote in my book 20 years ago, with faith and hope, keep your eyes on the prize. And I'll be honest, as a 28-year-old young man at the time, I did not quite grasp exactly what he meant. But over the course of last year, working on the election, working to see where we got to in January 5th, the day before the insurrection, the attempted coup, I have come to understand that it is important for us to keep our faith, hope, and keep your eyes on the prize. What is the prize? We want to end sexism. We want to end all these things, but we cannot do that if we continue to allow ourselves to be distracted by those who are trying to hold this country back from moving forward. But we're getting there, and what happens in the dark comes out in the light. What happened on January 6th is come out in the light. We know what our opposition is now. We know we have to go after it and fight it.
Now, there's something that was evident. Most or the majority American population, when they saw what was occurring, they immediately saw, oh my God, there's something. They're attacking the Congress, the Capitol. What folks like me saw, I looked at that and I said, how did they get there? How come some of these cops are opening the gates? How comes these cops are being so friendly? Didn't I remember during the BLM protest in DC that there were guards in the streets and they were met with explosives and shock explosives, etc.? Of course I remember that. America got to see themselves doing wrong and how the police reacted to them versus BLM. What are your thoughts on that? What was your first instinct when you saw it?
That brings up a lot of different things.
So please let it fly, please. I'm really curious about it.
The first thing is the same thing that I started off every call last week with. clients, and most of the clients that I report to are white. And I said, yesterday it was a travesty. It was a shame to watch. But you know that and they all finished my sentence, all to a T. Atiba, we know if they had been Black, this would not have happened. So I think a lot of things are coming out, and it's easier for people to say the very things that we have been saying. For instance, when Black Lives Matter protesters, when all that was going on last year, I got in my car and I drove around that night through Georgetown in Washington, D.C. You know, that's where a lot of our stores are. That's where high-end or higher-end stores. It's where the river is. It's very, nice area. And I am not lying to you. I saw police officers not making themselves present. They were as if they were hiding out, waiting for someone to come, young Black men, as was my assumption, to pounce on them. What we also saw in the city was buildings boarded up, storefronts boarded up, National Guardsmen in the city. This was before people got to the city. January 6th, they knew that there was going to be people coming to the White House. Lafayette Park, which has been closed throughout most of Trump's presidency, was all of a sudden opened up. They had closed it up because they didn't want homeless people there. They didn't want any credible threats. They were the threat and they did not feel threatened, so they opened it up. So we see the difference in the contrast. This is not just about Black and white. It's not just about racism. It's about something that's really ugly at the core of who I keep hearing the president-elect say, this is not America. I hear congressional members saying, this is not America. This is America. This is the America that the slaves, this is the America that women, this is the America that immigrants, this is the America we have talked to you about. That these mobs that destroyed Tulsa, that destroyed cities all around the country, Rosewood, Chicago, through riots. It's one thing when it's them with their pipe bombs, with their sticks, with their guns. It's another thing when it's just us with a mask, just begging
for equality.
Stop killing me.
Right.
Stop killing my son. Stop killing me. Stop banging open my door in my home and shooting and killing me. Stop putting your knee on my neck. That's what this is. So now the rest of the world sees it. The rest of the world sees what we've been saying.
Now, it is interesting because on my program yesterday, I gave folks an example. I said, when I walk into a store, there are people following me. When a white person walk into the store, a lot of times they get a pass. Nobody really cares. I said that points to something important you don't realize. The reason profiling never works is that person who is not profiled understand that they are the ones who can do the crime. And if you ever doubt that, go take a look at all those people that go to court, get a good lawyer as a person of color, where you are able to go to the section that gives probation and look at the people in that section compared to the people who will be heading the jails who've done the same crime. And you'd learn exactly what America is. Yeah. Profiling doesn't work. And profiling is exactly what happened again for this insurrection. They profiled those people that were coming from around the world, either of one things, that they weren't going to be causing enough problems, or that they really wanted them to be successful in the particular problem that they were going to cause. Your thoughts?
It's true. It's true. Well, it's up to us to keep telling our story and not wait for someone else to tell it. Like often I hear people, well, they don't talk about this. Well, you talk about it. Make America Great Again became a slogan. It became a slogan because someone kept saying it over and over and over again. Misinformation became the norm because someone kept giving it over and over and over again. So it's up to us to tell the truth. And I think part of that truth is to say, they ain't never been for you. You came to Washington, you came up and you're angry at the wrong people. the people that you need to be angry with are the very people that got you all riled up. And they got you riled up so much because they've been lying to you. They keep promising you about this dream. Well, let us tell you about the dream deferred. They keep telling you that, they're the nightmare, pointing to us. When the nightmare is the people that keep riling you up. It's no different, honestly. Hopefully I can do a good comparison of the white citizen councils in the South and the KKK. The white citizen council, those were the ones who had the money. The KKK, those were the ones who were, the sheriffs, the police chiefs, etc. The white citizen council, they didn't necessarily have to wear a hood because they were hiding behind their money. They were the ones who were riling up the KKK and the Sheets to go out and do their damage, to be the mob. That's what you saw happen, in my opinion, on January 6th. The White Citizen Council, Trump came out, riled up the masses. Giuliani riled up the masses, and the other ones who got on the stage. But the KKK decided we're not going to wear our hoods anymore. We're not even going to wear our masks because that's a political statement. We want you to see us. Thank you, because now your picture and your faces are everywhere. You can't even get on a plane in some cases.
That is what's so funny. They're not all that smart because now the same person who sent them all out is getting them all arrested, is getting them, they're all getting records, and their lives are forever changed. Now, we're kind of getting close to in this thing. So let's talk a little bit about party politics. So tell me a little bit about what you do, and then tell me a little bit about your book.
Sure. So party politics was the idea that was started hanging out with some friends in 2009, 2010, not too long after Obama was president, because we had this Tea Party. So you want to talk about insurrection? You had an insurrection within the Republican Party of the Tea Party. And it became this thing where the parties weren't talking to each other. It was a bigger split between the Republicans and the Democrats, even though that was going on way before, thanks to Newt Gingrich and some others. And the idea was, how do you bring people together from different sides, whether it was religious, sexual orientation, national origin, together? And the way that you see behind me, it says party politics. It was, how do you put the party before the politics? So how do you make it fun, attract people together to have these conversations? And the party is a play on words. People often think of party politics as being divisive. It was, how do we make party politics become inclusive? So I'll just give you an example. Back in February 26th of 2020, before everything got shut down, thanks to Coca-Cola, we hosted an event at L2 Lounge in Georgetown in Washington, D.C., a very nice, beautiful, posh place. We invited people. We had Joe Clare, who was a radio personality, to host it. And we showed a movie by the film director, amazing film, Minyote Kabebe, who did a film called What Happened to Chocolate City. And it talks about gentrification. We had a really diverse audience. We had other partners that helped us to invite people. We had probably about 250 people. We were able to give, thanks to Coca-Cola, we had drinks and food for everyone. So we had the party. And then we showed this film, which is 2 hours, and no one wanted to leave because the film is that good. And we talked about gentrification afterwards. And to be honest with you, we were going until 10, 11 o'clock. And the conversation was so good. And we had some of the people that she interviewed for that film there, including a woman, a young lady who's now older, but was 14 years old when she was filming this. And it was a phenomenal event. And it really just spoke to the idea that you can make things fun and bring people together to have difficult conversations. And people might not always agree, but if they come together and they have that food in their stomach, maybe a little bit of drink too, they're a little bit calmer and the conversations go a little bit more gentler, and people end up finding that they have more in common than different.
That is a great organization. We'll put that in the link as well after we air your show. And tell me about your book.
So I wrote a book called Saving Grace, and the main character's name is Anthony Grace. And the book is based here in DC, and it covers politics. It has some romance and some DC history in it. And the idea too is going back to that idea, make it fun. So the feedback that I'm getting from friends now are, when is this going to be a movie? I've wrote it, but I'm going to tell you it's well-written story. And it's taken a lot of the experiences that I've seen over the years working in politics blended it into a story about an environmental attorney who's been kidnapped. And the story starts off with him not knowing why he's been kidnapped. He's been hit so many times. And as he regains his memory, the reader learns who he is and that this is all attached to a rising political star.
Excellent. Well, El Señor Atiba Madyun, thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right. But I usually ask one last question before I go, and it goes as follows. What would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't ask you?
That's a good one.
It always stumps a few.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of because you asked some really great questions. Maybe ask me what I think, should the inauguration be inside or outside?
Go for it.
I think it should be inside. And I actually think it should be at an undisclosed location. I think that the transfer of power and that what's going on right now is too important and too significant to try to be arrogant and say, oh, we're going to show the example of our power by standing in your face and doing such and such. Regardless of where President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris are when they take that oath of office, he's going to be the 46th president of the United States. And I would like to see that happen in the safest manner that is also protecting our former heads of state and the congressional members who will be in attendance to witness the transfer of power in this country. Because unfortunately, we cannot say this is a peaceful transfer. What happened on January 6th is more than evident that this is not a peaceful transfer.
Atiba Madyun, Washington insider and president of Party Politics US. He has been featured on at The Hill, Financial Times, and Boston Globe. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, folks. I don't know, but the streamer, if you go to restream.io, the people who restream our data, they said that they're having people report some issues with their connections to Facebook, but that it works. They're connecting with all our other streaming platforms. So that's why YouTube is working fine. But anyhow, look, thank you so kindly for being here, my brothers and my sisters. Let me see. Julie Henderson says, perfect idea on location. Michael Rudden says, it's a favorite thing to ask your interviewees, open-ended. Let them talk about whatever they want to when they first come in. Egberto, if you don't want to stump anyone, make sure to tell them that you're going to ask that question at the end of the conversation. No, that's not what I want. I want to stump them. And about 30 or 40% of them say, oh, I don't know. But it actually makes them think of something, because a lot of times they're there and it brings up something off the cuff. So that is just a style of doing it. It's not a matter of anything exact. Sometimes I stump and they said, I really don't have anything else to ask you. So that's what it's all about, brother. That's what it's not a negative thing. It's a thing that's open-ended for anybody, including you, Michael Rodnan, when you come and do my show. Anyhow, or when you come and do our show. That's what we should be saying. Not my, not I. Our. Anyhow, welcome aboard, Michael Rodnan, the duck that quacks. Julie Henderson, Brige MCP. Let's see who else is here. Para ver, AVQ. And of course, we have Daniel Ledo and a new Daniel again. Who riled up? BLM? Maxine Waters, maybe? No. J.A. González, ¿cómo estás, hermano mío? Me imagino que hablas español también, porque creo que me has hablado en español anteriormente. All right, let's see who else is here. Para ver. The duck that quack. Nanette Bird Smith, welcome aboard. Daniel Ledo, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming, welcome aboard. Okay, let's see who else is here. Julie Henderson, I think I got you in. If I miss you, please drop a note at the end and I'll come back down to the end. I got Gonzalez. Fontana Ross, welcome aboard. Tank 28, welcome aboard. Let's see who else is here. I may miss a few because, I'm scrolling really fast. I got Norman Reynolds, welcome aboard. I think I got you already, Norman. Mark Smith from London, welcome aboard. Let's see, I got Mark Smith. I think I got everybody up to the top here. I'm almost to the top. I saw some names earlier that I didn't recognize, but I think I'm scrolling so fast that I'm scrolling past it. All right, folks, look, thank you. Oh, Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard. I always say Bruce Pollard, but it's Bruce Pollard. Welcome aboard. Claro que sí, me dice González. Claro, hermano. Anyhow, folks, we got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. I thank you guys all for being here. Again, as I said, if you're on YouTube, please go ahead and click that join button. Become a part of our posse, PDR posse, as stated by Bridge MCP. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.